be about that time. People of Magfest, bonus back at home watching on their television sets. Welcome to the 3rd annual BHultra Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith: the video game Magfest tournament for 2025. If you've played this game before, played this game professionally, we do have a special rule set. Who here has been to one of our tournaments previously specifically? Alright. Yeah, I'm seeing some familiar face. Wait a minute, you said you won the last two years? You Maxwell? Alright. That's horrifying. Welcome back. The way we do things around here is a single elimination tournament with an asterisk. If you lose in any of the qualifier, quarterfinal, or finals, you are knocked out of the tournament. However, because we have a selection of fabulous prizes for 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place, your placement will determine a pecking order. 1st place gets 1st pick, 2nd place gets 2nd pick, and 3rd place gets what's left. Because this is a 1v1 tournament, if you are knocked out in the semifinals, you will be given an extra match against your loser friend on the other side to determine who the best loser is.
Would you like a real microphone, sir?
A real microphone? Oh, that would. Oh, are you guys done?
Yeah,
oh, that's can you make clutch? Oh, of course. Normally, we compete amongst the top 12 or top 10. So qualifiers, quarterfinals, and semifinals are fought in 3-round matchups. But the finals, the final match, will be contested over a best of 5. If we somehow have even more of a turnout this year and we have to make it 1 round, I'm not worried about that, but good luck. We do have a selection of 3 tournament legal stages. Let's see if I can multitask here. We have a Stage 1, Temple Training Room. Stage 7, Palpatine's Office, Docking Bay. And Stage 14, Episode 4, Death Star. These are the most neutral stages. It doesn't mean they don't have hazards, it just means they're the most neutral stages. The stages will be determined by the competitors. If a consensus cannot be met on a stage, we'll just do rock, paper, scissors, the way competitiveness is supposed to be held. Those are the rules of our specific yearly BHultra tournament, but the rules of the game are uniform across the division. The controls are, for those of you who have not played this game professionally, you can use the sticks to move. If you double tap a direction, you will sprint. You can attack out of sprints. X is a basic jab. X multiple times is a jab combo. Y is a heavy attack. You can hold Y for a much larger blast, and both of these can also be done in the air. You have aerial moves. Obviously, you jump in the air with the A button, and the B is a lunge attack. If you press X and Y together, you can grab, and then you can attack out of said grab with X or Y. You can block all of these basic attacks with the left trigger, but you can be grabbed out of a block. While blocking, you can use the A button to strafe or backflip to escape. On occasion, 2 lightsabers will flash and enter a cinematic. When that happens, you will need to bash the attack buttons as swiftly as possible to get the advantage. There are 3 types of characters on this roster: Jedi, Sith, and General Grievous. Jedi can use mind tricks with the black buttons exclusive to the original Xbox controller. The white buttons are character exclusives. Some saber throw. For Grievous, it's a stance change and changes from 2 lightsabers to 4 for a short amount of time. Sith can shoot lightning with the black and white buttons. Every Force user can push in both of the sticks to pull off a Force heal, which drains your Force meter but raises your health. You can also spin the right stick while blocking to create a lightsaber wall in front of you. On top of your health bar is going to be a Force meter. Using the right trigger, you can push a character away, pull them closer, or just stall them in the air. That's Force power. Everything I just said about the Force does not apply to General Grievous. He cannot Force heal. His specials are unrelated to the Force, and his right trigger is not a Force push, it is a gun. If you hit the right trigger as Grievous, you will shoot a gun. If you hold it, you can blast out a much bigger shot out of the gun. And that is everything we need to know about Star Wars: Episode 3 - Revenge of the Sith: the video game. Let's begin with our first round matchup. To the first matchup of BHultra's third annual Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith, the video game for the original Xbox tournament at Magfest 2025. I am Bonus. You are on the Bonus channel right now if you're watching this. I thought it would be better to do the commentary after the fact, once I know what's happened, because when I try and do it live, you can already hear... Okay, wait. You could hear in that moment there, when the lightsabers clash, our first round matchup between Spencer and Jabari. Spencer as Ben Kenobi on the left and Jabari as Mace Windu on the right. Ben Kenobi clipping through Mace Windu, clipping through Jabari, using that grab. That happens a lot with this character. This stage, as you can see, will have a lot of hazards that explode. Okay, Spencer's smartly throwing him around, trying to throw him in the air and slice at his feet. That grab, that same grab, that's the way the grab is supposed to work, is you bonk them on the top of the head. But because this character is very finicky, you could also tell, by the way, Ben Kenobi is much louder than every other character in the game when the dialogue's going, and those are the hazards going off, that he was probably added late into the game. And the first round goes to Spencer as Ben Kenobi almost chopping his hand off. Anyway, what I was getting at is I think it would be better for me to do the commentary after the fact. One, because I know of all the moments, like that bashing. When the lightsabers clash together, you can hear the people in the crowd, and this was a very raucous crowd, chanting bash as both of the players dropped their controllers and immediately started bashing. There's that grab, there's that bonk. This is not the same Spencer that was present at the first annual, if you can call first annual, Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith BHultra tournament at Magfest, at Super Magfest. That was 2023, I believe. Both this Spencer and Jabari are first-time competitors. Spencer using that saber throw that does do a decent amount of damage, but also disarms you. Now Jabari retaliating, using that sprint, but blocking. The blocking is what causes the sabers to clash. Like now. You can see their faces light up with the screen. The second round matchup. Oh, and Jabari running it. And again, Ben Kenobi floating in the air like a corpse. This character is very buggy, I guess is the best way of putting it. Jabari going for that lunge, getting caught in a Jedi mind trick, trying to capitalize. But yes, these are two first-time competitors. Oh. After watching back to these matchups, I believe that is the... Oh, knocking him over, trying to use that grab again. But his animation leaves him open a lot of end frames, which Jabari can capitalize on, bouncing off those hazards. Again, there are 3 tournament legal stages. This one is the most flat and most neutral. There just are a lot of hazards on it. It doesn't lack hazards, it just has the least amount. I believe I said this earlier. Really coming down to the wire. Each Spencer and Jabari have 1 round in this match. And there's the saber clash again. You can see the screen lighting up their faces, and both, if you watch their arms carefully, you can see them bashing out and stopping his heart with the Force. And that is the first round matchup. Spencer moves on. Still round 1, matchup number 2. You can see that Anakin is able to move in the little opening bit there in the matchup screen. I don't know. Listen, things just happen in this game, and you kind of need to become accustomed to it. That's just how it is in the competitive division. Now, Chris and Abraham, like Spencer and Jabari previously, I've never competed in one of my tournaments before. I don't know how they feel about the game or where they competed in the game. Abraham, of course, Sindralig, a character playable in this game, not in the movie. I wouldn't say exclusive to this game because he is in the one of the books that people read. But Chris here, while he didn't compete last year at the 2024 tournament, mourning the loss of Anakin, did compete in the 2023 tournament. So while Spencer previously was a different Spencer that we saw, getting him stalled in the air, using the explosion, using that sprint to run up, Chris has never won one of these matchups before, and he's already 1 match down against Sindralig. Sindralig and Anakin have very similar stances. You'll see that Anakin is a very popular character in this tournament.
using those backslashes, those back shots. Syndrali accidentally hitting a hazard on the stage. Everyone so far has picked the first stage, training stage. All right, that wasn't one of the bashes, but of course both recovering. Syndrali not able to block out of it, and now Anakin is on the ropes, trying to block these shots and trying to get his shots in where he can. Both trying to capitalize and both blocking, but Syndrali taking the advantage, Abraham taking the advantage, slicing Anakin's throat, and Chris is distraught. Moving on. What's interesting about doing this tournament over and over again, the third year, and we're going to continue in the future, is you do see some returning faces. Only 3 competitors have appeared at every single tournament, all 3 of them, and that is Logan, Maxwell, and Andrew. Not the Andrew you guys think. We believe there's some kind of relation between Andrew and Maxwell, but Logan and Maxwell we will see later. And Maxwell has come in first, has won the last 2 tournaments. And Logan has always come in third. Sarah Cato, James is Sarah Cato's lightsaber over there, but at least she has the other lightsaber to defend herself. Andrew has been knocked out of the tournament by Maxwell every year prior to this. But now, Maxwell and Andrew are not met up. Look how little James has of health. Look at Sarah Cato's health, trying to fight up back, trying to get that light, throwing the lightsaber, and getting that win, scraping and crawling that tiny-ass health bar, managing to make it past. Sorry for my sailor's tongue. What I'm getting at is that the reason I believe Andrew goes on the defensive is because he's constantly playing against the aggressive and powerful Maxwell. Maxwell, who also mains Sarah Cato. So Andrew, as Anakin, knows this character very well, but he's still getting circles ran around him. Well, I would say that if James, as Sarah Cato, we did have a James on the first year. I'm not certain if it's the same person. When I asked James, or when Bonus asked James, I am Bonus, said that he had never competed in this prior. But we're going to be seeing James in this competition against Andrew. Andrew, a previous competitor. Again, one of 3 that has been in all of these. Trying to use the Force Lightning, the Sith Lightning to keep Sarah Cato off him. Sarah Cato, James, trying to use those hazards. Now Andrew again, playing on the defensive, running away. Using that Force Heal that is allowed this year as long as there's no stalling. Trying to defend himself the best he can. That's what you have to do when you play against Sarah Cato. Her hitbox is so small and she plays aggressively, and then she's just constantly going after him, chasing him, trying to close that gap, forcing him away. Look at that little health Anakin's got left. Andrew needs to hold on, get stabbed, and Andrew is knocked out of the tournament again in round 1. So here's where stuff begins to get a little complicated. If you consult back, and you probably saw on the bracket, this matchup was listed as Dylan versus Tayton. And we see Tayton is here as Darth Vader. And of course, Taylor, who is not Dylan, is here as Count Dooku. They misheard the names that were called, so this was supposed to be Dylan's match. So what the host did is then switch around Taylor and Dylan's placements. And we'll hear from Dylan potentially later. We're actually seeing a decent amount of Count Dooku in this tournament, which is strange because more often than not, in these tournaments, at least in all the years I've done, we see that Force Lightning. Of course, these 2 Sith characters, 2 of the 3 characters that can use Sith Lightning, and the only 2 that their default skin is the red lightsaber, these Sith characters, and as we know, canonically, whoever Darth Vader is under the mask kills Count Dooku. That's the first time I think we've ever seen the Lightning attack Darth Vader like that and catching him in the air with that same Sith Lightning, trying to take advantage. Darth Vader, Tayton, hopefully learning from this Sith Lightning. And it's cool that you get to see Darth Vader's skeleton. Nobody trying to get those aerial shots, but getting backtrapped, sliced up a back of his own. Nobody has chosen stage, and using that Force Lightning back on him, and one of those brutal kill moves, saying his death is inconsequential, which is interesting because it isn't. In Darth Vader's arc, it actually is quite consequential, using that saber throw. Can both saber throw and Force Lightning. He actually controls basically like Anakin, except he hits a little harder and he's a little heavier. What I was saying is that we see more Count Dooku's in this tournament. Oh, here goes the bash. In these tournaments, more often than not, the lineup is Syndrali, Sarah Cato, Anakin, and Darth Vader. And Ryu is the only one that has ever played General Grievous, I believe. Maybe one other person. But we see a decent amount of Dooku here. Taylor, of course, taking the slot. It was not the slot meant for him in the bracket, but he's knocked out of the tournament anyway, and Tayton, as Darth Vader, moves on. And here we go. The only matchup to have occurred at all of these BHultra Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith, the video game for the original Xbox Magfest, Super Magfest tournament. Logan versus Maxwell. However, this is the only time this matchup has taken place in the first round, in the qualifiers. I'm gonna list off some stats for you. Like I said previously, there have only been 3 competitors that have appeared in all 3 tournaments thus far. They are Andrew, Maxwell, and Logan. Logan and Andrew have never once beaten Maxwell. In the 2 tournaments prior, Maxwell has knocked out Andrew and Logan. Logan has never beaten Maxwell. We crowned the top 3 in the 2 previous tournaments, and we're going to do it for this tournament as well. The top 3 for the first tournament was Maxwell winning the tournament, Catherine, who we believe was here in the crowd as well, just not competing, came in second place, and Logan came out in third. The second year, almost the same thing. Maxwell won the second tournament, and Logan came in third, with that time Andrew coming in second place. But Andrew was knocked out earlier in this tournament, Saracato, using that tornado attack. Both of them, Logan as Anakin, Maxwell as Saracato. Logan had a much more drained force meter trying to make that back, while Maxwell as Saracato has less health. We see the crown above Sarah to represent her winning. That's her, forcing her down with that force push. That is Saracato's grab. When she jumps around him, that is her grab animation. So even if she doesn't land the grab, she still manages to evade. Logan has now gotten a point, a round, a matchup on Maxwell. You see how locked in he is. That is the longest first round we've seen thus far. Now these are Anakin's best combos. You're going to be able to knock them down with the grab and then juggle your opponent in the air and maybe Sith lightning them on the ground, because along with the other Sith characters of Darth Vader and Count Dooku, can also do the Sith lightning. We've seen several stats. We've seen those 3. Every year we've also seen a Brandon compete, different Brandons. We've seen 3 different Brandons compete over these tournaments. No Brandons this year. But I can let you know, behind the scenes, me bonus, I have trained with Ryu, I have trained with Spencer, I have trained with Chris, and I have trained with Logan. And Logan has been grinding out this matchup for days, weeks even. Using that force heal, trying to run away, but again, Logan has never once beaten Maxwell. Holding Saracato in there, trying to do that juggle, and for the first time, we will see a new winner. And here we have first-time competitor Ryu as General Grievous and Kevin as Count Dooku. The second Count Dooku of this tournament that we've seen so far. We can see how Grievous controls. Of course, we said this earlier in the controls, that his right trigger is a gun. He shoots a gun attack, and he uses a gun. Ryu, I believe, is the only General Grievous player in this tournament and learned how to play only this character. Whereas, again, we've seen more Count Dooku doing that stance change with, I believe, that white button and swinging all those lightsabers around. Kevin, alternatively, blocking with the lightsaber and picking his shots more carefully, slicing at General Grievous. And we're talking about canonical battles, then, like, these two, they have a relationship at the very least. Something interesting about General Grievous in this game is that we can look at his render down there with the blue lightsaber. This game was created from an earlier script, not spec script, just an earlier version of Revenge of the Sith in general. So that's why General Grievous only has 4 blue lightsabers in this game. And here's his long grab. General Grievous's grab is the longest in the game. It doesn't do as much damage as you would think, but it is a very long animation. You have multiple opportunities to escape, but if you don't, you're going to be stuck there for a while. It's not so much that the grab in and of itself, and there's that charge shot. You can also charge the right trigger and shoot it. And then this is his, I believe, his personal black button, because Grievous has a different one. It allows him to sprint at everyone because he can't sprint in general. General Grievous, I keep saying General, is the heaviest character in this game. But because of that, you cannot force him in the air. Try to do that lunge and try to shoot him with the gun. Both of them have very little health left. And Kevin, as Count Dooku, gets that first match. I believe all of the matches prior, I could be talking out of my ass. I could be very wrong. That's 2 swears for this tournament. This is a children's tournament for the family. No, I'm lying. Using that spin, getting that last hit off, not managing to do the chain attack, but still landing a hit. Grievous using the strength and the weight and the gun. Count Dooku getting... distracted isn't really the word. Again, nobody has picked anything other than this stage. Of the 3 tournament legal stages, it is the biggest and also has the most hazards. But trust me, if you see all getting that grab, and again, Count Dooku, Kevin, countering that grab with a grab of its own. See, normally in the game, you hit X and Y to grab, and your opponent can hit X and Y. It doesn't have to be frame perfect, but it needs to be timed properly to counter the grab. With any other character, that's very hard. It's actually quite easy with General Grievous because the animation of his grab is not only very long, but that means that the window where you can escape or counter the grab is also quite long, longer than any other character. General Grievous using that stance change with those multiple lightsabers, moving us into match point, match 3, round 3 of this match. I believe the first round of the quarterfinals so far to actually get to round 3, to match 3. Using that DDT to Muscle Buster combo, can he pull off the stomp on Count Dooku's Kevin? Oh, no, see, rolling out of the way. Again, multiple opportunities to escape. And you can see the crowd reacting, or rather you can hear them. There are certain matches where I don't even want to commentate over because you can hear the electricity in the crowd. Speaking of electricity, again, those hazards. There is no targeting button in this game. You just have to look in a direction. I believe Kevin is regretting picking the stage. We don't know who picked the stage, actually, but like we said earlier, you need to agree on a stage, and if you can't agree, then it comes down to rock, paper, scissors. For whatever reason, everyone seems to be picking this stage. Muscle Buster, can he pull off the stomp? Stomping on Count Dooku, managing to roll out of the way. Kevin smartly getting out of there, has very little health, but needs to mount an offensive. Back on General Grievous, who's landing multiple hits and lunge. He's got that little bit of health. He needs to play on the defensive more, knocking Grievous back. Dooku, in a way, changing his own stance, using that run, stopping him with the lightning, using the rest of his force meter, backing away, strafing, swiping, almost getting lunged at, moving out of the way, and getting struck in the last moment to the final round of the qualifiers.
Still not here.
Bringing us to the final match of the qualifiers. Alexis versus Keith. As we just saw, Alexis did not sign up for this tournament, but we had an opening. The opening that was originally Taylor's spot until we moved Dylan and Taylor around because Taylor competed in the wrong match and then was knocked out of the tournament anyway. But because Dylan did not show up to call time, Alexis took Dylan's place. We are unsure whether or not this is the same Dylan from the first ever BHultra Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith for the original Xbox Super Magfest tournament. And now we will never know. And that is not the only time that happens. Oh, Sarah Cato using the small stature and multiple lightsabers to administer the backshots using that Jedi mind trick of his already deteriorating mind of the old man of Ben Kenobi. All that to say, both Alexis and Keith are first-time competitors in this tournament. I don't know if they're first-time competitors in the game, but it seems that Keith has, at the very least, a basic understanding, whereas Alexis, oh, and there's Ben Kenobi again dying in the air for the second time this tournament. What an interesting character. I think they have specific individual dialogue as well. You thought you'd be better than that. Are you ready to be smacked out? Of course, Sarah Cato's classic catchphrase. Sarah Cato, if I had to throw together a tier list, I guess it really depends. There are counter picks like Grievous and Darth Vader that are heavies, that have their own advantages. Anakin is probably the most applicable, the easiest to pick up and use and be good with, but Sarah Cato might be the best. Syndraulic is somewhere in there. We've seen a decent amount of Ben Kenobi, Count Dooku. We even saw Mace Windu earlier in this tournament, using that classic bonk. Keith has one round down from Alexis. Can Alexis get a twofer, or can Keith use this as an advantage? Now running out of the force meter and running physically away, blocking, trying to keep that up. That little bit of health left, pushing him into the corner. as Bash. Ben Kenobi this time winning the bash-up mashup. Happening multiple times in this matchup. Trying to jump away, trying to escape, trying to get that force meter back up, and then trying to, again, administer the back shots. Here we go again. And Ben Kenobi won that one again. Both with very minimal health. Keith, Ben Kenobi has slightly more. And now...
Good game.
They both believed the matchup was over and put their controllers down. In the end, Alexis wins anyway, moving on to the quarterfinals.
Either we can get you a buy, or if there's anyone in the audience that would like to play this game and thinks they can beat Spencer, pick them. They would have to run the play. Yeah, sure, go ahead. Whatever. The person in cosplay, fill up and try and beat Spencer.
Here comes a new challenger!
Round 2, a matchup of Spencer's own creation. We're moving on to round 2 for the first time, like I just said. However, I'll give you a little spoiler. Oh, getting those spins in. Not only is this the first time they chose a different stage, the second tournament legal stage, Palpatine's office docking bay. But this is also, I believe, there are only 2 competitors that, I'm just going to give you a little spoiler, that switch the character they play within the tournament, and they are both Val and Spencer. Spencer, of course, began this tournament in the first matchup with Ben Kenobi, but after seeing that the display of Ben Kenobi in the previous match with Alexis, of course being played by Keith, David did not show up to call time either, meaning Dylan and David were both disqualified from the tournament. However, instead of just giving a Spencer a bye, as we saw earlier, we let him select his opponent. His opponent was Val. Complete random cosplayer picked from the crowd that seems to be faring pretty well. There were a decent amount of people, I could tell you, after the fact, people there to watch the tournament. Oh wait, hold that thought. Spencer has very little health, throwing Anakin as Val around, and Val taking advantage, knocking the old man down.
No challenge at all.
First round matchup going to Anakin Val. Again, Anakin is a very, I don't want to say simple character, but probably the best to pick up and play. There were a decent amount of people there in cosplay that just, not Star Wars cosplay, but just in general, and just other people that wanted to watch the tournament. Some people knew me. I was greatly appreciated being approached by some people. It's me, Bonus, of course, on the Bonus channel. For the 3rd annual Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith, the video, both bashing like their life depends on it. And it does. Spencer getting the advantage, doing that little bit of damage. But now it's almost evened out again. Val was a very tough competitor. Spencer had not played the game prior to this event. Not the tournament per se, but practicing a little bit earlier with Logan. We saw them in the console room grinding it out. That's why he's still struggling to find his character. Same goes with Val. We don't know how much experience Val has, but Spencer picked Val out of the crowd, and now these two are fighting. Val would not be in this tournament if not for Spencer. But Spencer may be regretting his decision. If he can knock Val down, that little bit of health, get on to the 3rd round, trying to pull things closer, trying to force lightning, that little bit, that sliver. Oh, and Dooku getting that advantage and knocking Val out in the 2nd round. Anakin screaming. You could, again, hear the crowd and me, and BHultra, chanting bash in the background. I really, I hope that you guys enjoy these videos, the tournaments, they line up like this, but there was some interesting footage that we didn't capture. Of course, the individuals of picking this character. I wish we kept that main camera on, but really, this does not match the feeling of being there. If you really want to experience one of these tournaments, you really should check it out. I know I'm selling this mid-tournament, the first matchup of the quarterfinals. Using that force lightning, the stage is getting louder, using the entire force meter, but you have to. Val still only has a little bit less health, and now it's evening out. Spencer as Count Dooku clearly knows something that... Who played Count Dooku previous? Tayton did not? No, sorry, it was Taylor. Tayton is continuing as Darth Vader. The two red lightsaber Sith characters. You could argue Anakin is a Sith character because he uses the Sith lightning, but he still has iconic blue lightsaber. This is, I believe, the longest match we've seen thus far, knocking out almost at 4 hours, and look how even it is. Launching Dooku in the air and trying to impale him, getting those sloshes in, and Val gets the win. Spencer may regret that decision. Round 2 rolls on with Abraham versus James. Abraham immediately going for that saber throw. Abraham, the man who beat Anakin, Christian, and James, the man who beat Anakin, Andrew. Both of the only 2 green lightsaber characters. Now, I believe, if I'm reading the canon correctly, that Sindralig was actually the mentor, the master of Sarah Kato. James is still one of many Sarah Katos we have left in the running. Of the final 8, 2 of which are Sarah Katos, are going to be played by Sarah Katos. I think he's referring to him or her as the youngling, I don't know. Because you can see the difference in posture, in demeanor, and how locked in Abraham is, the way he's holding the control like a fight stick, whereas James, casual, confident. It's worth noting that the last 2 tournaments were won, of course, by the same person, but that same person played Sarah Kato each time, a character that makes it very far. Abraham taking the first fall, and by that I mean losing the first fall to James's Sarah Kato. Double saber throw to start out, of course, off the back of that. People are laughing in the background. Sarah Kato still has one of the lightsabers in her offhand, but it's interesting that the first round matchup began with Abraham Sindralig throwing the lightsaber immediately. That's a decent way to close the gap. When you're closing the gap, there are 3 ways to approach. You could either sprint forward, you could either force them away or towards you, or you could saber throw. I guess there are more when it comes to lightning and Jedi mind trick. There aren't a lot of projectiles in the game unless you're a character like General Grievous. Sindralig's main mechanic in the game is how quick he is. Not as fast as Sarah Kato, but his individual jabs add that little vapor effect, I guess is the best way of putting it. Oh, he lost anyway. James Sarah Kato moves on. Here we go. The penultimate matchup of round 2 of the quarterfinals. Anakin faces a future version of himself in his future home. The first matchup to select the Death Star. We have now seen the 3 tournament legal stages. You can hear how loud Darth Vader's breathing is. It's almost like when they layered all the sounds, they put it on top if they added it after for some reason. Going for that Anakin grab. The issue with this stage, although it has the least amount of hazards and it is the most flat, Darth Vader now has the high ground, ironically. Is that Anakin's combos primarily come from using the grab and the attack after grab by bouncing them in the air and continually juggling them, which is what Logan as Anakin is trying to do now. In a stage like this where the ceiling is really low, and there is a ceiling in general, it's a lot easier to combo someone like that, get bounced around, get comboed. Of course, failing to combo out of that, accidentally blocking, going after Tayton. Both of these fighters, competitors, of course Logan has been in the 2 previous tournaments. Trained with them personally once or twice. Tayton is new to this, but both of them have kept their characters from round 1. Darth Vader using that Sith electricity, that Sith lightning to keep Anakin down, doing that mash, ducking under it. Look how low both their health is, using the rest of his meter to get Anakin down. Logan's first down in this competition. Darth Vader continues to breathe menacingly. See, forcing him towards him, trying to juggle him in the air, trying to keep Darth Vader in the air. Darth Vader is probably the 2nd heaviest character in the game. Doesn't have the same weight advantages that General Grievous does, where you can't lift him up. He can sprint, unlike General Grievous. He's just very hard-hitting. He's like this video game's Ganondorf, if you will. Darth Vader striking him down, trying to go for that juggle, but not working, using the wrong grab attack, or rather the wrong throw attack. Using that Force Lightning to force him away, using that saber throw. Tayton competing very quickly, but all Anakin needs, all Logan needs, is that grab combo. A-posing, dropping to his knees. Getting to the 3rd round of this matchup between Logan and Tayton. Tayton got caught up in that Taylor-Tayton name exchange debacle, but here he goes. The first time we've seen that saber spin as well. Doesn't have a whole lot of advantages in this game, but trying to go for that juggle. Using the rest of his meter, the Force Lightning, to keep him not down, but keep him solitary, prevent him from moving. Darth Vader using half of his meter, Tayton using half of his meter to use that powerful attack and not even landing it. Both of them don't share a health bar, but they do share the same amount of Force meter right now. Darth Vader needs to turn around. He's getting back shots by a previous version of himself. Boy, I've heard that before. Trying his best to fight Anakin off, but Anakin is simply just a faster character. He needs a couple more strikes, and then Vader will fall. Try not to choke on your aspirations. And the final grab combo, not floating like Ben Kenobi's contemporary. And the final matchup of the quarterfinals to determine who will be the fourth person to enter the semifinals, joining Val, James, and Logan. Of course, reused General Grievous has previously defeated a Syndralic, whereas Alexis fought, I believe it was Ben Kenobi. So we get to see Sarah Kato versus General Grievous. These are the only characters in the game that dual-wield lightsabers. Of course, General Grievous has a stance change button that allows him to wield 4, my mistake. You would think these characters are similar, but they're actually quite different as they are opposite ends of the spectrum. Grievous is the slowest and heaviest character in the game, except for when he does this, which is one of his specials, whereas Sarah Kato is the lightest. And I don't want to say weakest. She's, everyone else's combo food for her, getting shot in the face. You got to watch out for that gun. The best combat for a character like Sarah Kato, who can move very quickly and can quickly leap and bound over those gaps and get close to their opponent, is a projectile. And Grievous is one of the few characters with a projectile, if we're not counting the saber throw. Landing the grab. I just like the bit that happens there. I wanted to see it in full. Getting shot in the back of the head with the gun. Again, the gun is Sarah Kato's worst enemy. What I was getting at is this is the fastest and slowest character, the heaviest and the lightest. Now we're seeing 2 lightsabers versus 4 if Grievous could take advantage, but Sarah Kato is trying to use her speed. Alexis is trying to use Alexis' speed, the character's speed, to get the advantage on Grievous. Grievous loses that stance chain, trying to go for a final grab. That last grab could be enough to get down the health bar, even though Alexis Sarah Kato's health bar is still a sizable amount, but now it's evening out. Using that gun again at close range. She's got a gun! I don't want to lose my voice again. I definitely lost my voice in doing this tournament live. You really should have seen it. It was a whole lot of fun. Alexis Sarah Kato trying to get that advantage. Again, Sarah Kato has won the 2 previous tournaments, not with this person controlling them. Maxwell is already out of the tournament, getting shot in the face, and Grievous with the gun moves on, as does Reed.
That was really good team.
Here comes a new challenger!
Round 3, the semifinals. To not only determine the finals, but also to determine third place. Val has changed the character choice that Val has made. Beginning with Anakin, just coming from the crowd, and then switching over to Mace Windu. After, I imagine seeing Jabari play it earlier, and this is the only other Mace Windu. You gotta try all the different characters. Maybe Val just likes the color purple, and who doesn't? James, however, sticking with Sarah Kato from the very beginning, already winning 2 matchups as this character. Hoping to win a third, going back to where it all started, the stomping ground, the training room, the first legal stage. Everyone just kind of defaults back to this one. Using the Force meter to hold the character up in the air. Val might know more about Mace Windu than we initially thought, than Val initially let on. Doing some crazy combos I didn't expect, or maybe I just haven't seen enough Mace Windu. But their health bars are getting awfully close. And what happens here is fantastic, Crazy indeed, BHultra. Oh, what a fantastic host. But that's true. well, we have been doing this tournament for years, and I like to think that we're still discovering more about the game. In training, in setting up the tournament, we learned that there are new controls we didn't even previously know. They're not listed anywhere because there's a competitive community for this game, and yet so much of it is hidden under this game. There's so many capabilities. I like to think we're one of the main divisions. We're definitely getting up there. If you win this, you could say you're best in the world. I don't care. I'll give you permission. But in my years of running this game, my years of playing it, even outside of the convention, practicing it, playing it on my own time, I have never seen an in-match draw happen like that before. James playing on the offensive, playing very aggressive and knocking down Val as Mace Windu. But again, that was only the first down of this match. I guess the original round 1 doesn't count. Using that force meter, Val is Mace Windu. I didn't clock it earlier when Val was playing as Anakin, but does use a lot of the force meter, uses a lot of the force powers. And granted, James is using that as well as Sarah Kata. But it seems like we know it's a very good get-off me tool, but it seems Val is leaning on the force a lot, which is of course what you're gonna do when you're a Jedi. Might have some trouble with a character like Grievous, but that's on the opposite end of the bracket. Won't even need to worry about that. If Val makes it on, the odds of Val fighting Ryu are slim, but not zero. Trying to swipe at James on the ground, Sarah Kato. The way the characters when they're down works is you can still attack them if your lightsaber grazes them. It's less about initial moves and more about hitboxes. Of course, James getting knocked down, Sarah Kato getting knocked down. This is the most even we've ever seen anything. Not only we make it to round 3, but the first round itself was a draw. The only way it can get more drawn is if every match was a draw. I want to take you behind the scenes for a second. Right before this matchup, a TA, I believe, they weren't really paying attention to our tournament, just the tournaments at Super Magfest 2025 in general, came up to me and asked me, like, hey, how much time is left? I'm like, oh, there's this many matches. And they're like, you know, don't speed it up, but, you know, like, we got to move on to the next thing. So while I was excited when I saw that draw, I was like, oh, I didn't know that could happen. And that might elongate this tournament a lot, but that doesn't matter. Again, Val leaning on the force to keep Sarah Kato away from Mace Windu. But in the end, it might not work. Chopping his head off, reverse Jango Fett style. Takes us to the other match of the semifinals. The final semifinals match. Logan versus Ryu. You can see Anakin jumping out of frame in the opening. Logan and Ryu have history. These two have trained together, have fought together, have roomed together, come to this convention together, and have practiced both of these characters against each other. Inversely, within the movie, Anakin Skywalker and General Grievous interact one time where Anakin says, General Grievous, I thought you'd be taller. In person, I think. Even though they're both generals on opposite ends of a war, of the Separatist trade war, I believe. Because of that one line in the movie, they had to separate these characters throughout the entirety of the Star Wars The Clone Wars 3D animated cartoon, which is why they never interact in the show. Of course, we see General Grievous's very long grab animation that Logan is able to escape, and forcing all the hazards back there, causing a huge explosion, purposefully or otherwise causing slowdown in the game. Finally landing that grab combo, but because General Grievous cannot be thrown in the air due to his remarkable weight, the combos do not work on him. The only way to win this matchup is by closing that gap or using the projectiles. Ryu General Grievous already has very little health. Finally landing that grab, flipping him over. Again, still holding on to that little bit of health, reeling, going into round 2. No challenge. This is not only the matchup to determine who moves on to the finals to face James, but also because Val walked away after this. Going back to the crowd where Val came from. Whoever loses this automatically gets that 3rd place slot and is able to choose the prize of their choice. 3rd. Ryu trying to use that gun against Anakin because, again, the aerial combat, lifting the character up in the air, doing those grabs to try and combo them, is not going to work with this matchup. Anakin's going to have to use the Force, and Grievous is going to have to catch him in the air with the gun, like so. Again, Ryu and Logan have run this matchup dozens of times probably, but now we're seeing it. in the semifinals, on the big screen, on the big projector. That is the main difference with this tournament, is that a lot of people have practiced it on proper CRTs with very little lack of feedback. No drop frames whatsoever, but on a projector there is not a remarkable amount of lag, but more lag. Again, speaking of lag, that long grab combo, managing to escape by using the same grab, shooting his back. The best opportunity for Grievous is to turn the characters around. Flipping away, Ryu's got that little bit of health he needs to preserve, and he's got a long discrepancy, not only in the round matchup, but to get that health bar down. I've seen these two fought over and over, or at least I have. See, managing that discrepancy, trying to land that grab, but in the end, it's countering the grab that may cost him. Could it be a projectile like the gun that ends it, or could it be cooking him with the electricity? Logan moves on to the finals for the first time in his life.
That makes Ryu our official third placement, which brings us to the finals of James versus Logan. And again, I asked the third place and the two finalists stick around at the end to reap their fabulous prizes. Because this is the final match, once you're at the stage selection, don't let me get in your way.
How do we do are we doing 5? How do we do that?
That little round thing right there, it says round, like the X, send that to 5. There, 5, there you go. The final matchup.
The finals of BHultra Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith, the video game tournament for Magfest 2025. Seeing some familiar faces throughout this tournament. James took out Andrew, Abraham, and Val, the champion chosen by Spencer. Logan, on the other end, took out Ryu, Tayton, and Maxwell. What's interesting about that is both of these competitors remain with these characters the entire time. And as we can see the round matchup beneath their health bars and force meters, we already said this in the previous bit, but this is going to be a best of 5. The first to win 3. These characters play incredibly different. Anakin going for those combos again. Sarah Kato trying to close the gap. Incredible air maneuverability, juggling combo, but couldn't capitalize with the lightning until now. Cooking from far away. I bring up the matchups as interesting because, as we know, Logan has been, of these two competitors, the only person still left in this tournament to have competed in every prior BHultra Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith, the video game Magfest tournament. All 3. Speaking of 3, the 2 previous years, he came in 3rd place. Both years losing to Maxwell, who won the first annual and the second annual. Maxwell was knocked out in the first round of this tournament after returning by Logan, the man who had only ever lost him. We know now, regardless, that Ryu is in 3rd place. That means whoever loses this comes in 2nd. Whoever wins, obviously, comes in 1st. So Logan cannot possibly come in 3rd this time around. But all of that is interesting. All of that to say, after Logan overcame Maxwell, potentially the hardest battle, using that lightning from far away again, getting the 2-point advantage, could even out still. There's still time. It's going to be the longest matchup we're going to see tonight. It definitely will be. The finals. Maxwell also always played as Sarah Kato. So after Logan overcame Maxwell's Sarah Kato, hasn't had to fight a different one. Fought a Darth Vader and a General Grievous. The only General Grievous, but evidently the one he knows super well, trying to go for those grab combos again. Every year prior to this, although it was the same person, we saw Sarah Kato win the 2 previous tournaments. The first annual and the second annual were won by Sarah Kato. So not only are we seeing whether or not Logan can win his first tournament after taking out his largest opponent, his biggest adversary, but if we can see a character other than Sarah Kato ever win any of these. Looking on the other side of the tournament, we're framing Logan as an underdog. But in actuality, James currently has no round wins over Logan's Anakin. But still, coming to this tournament after presumably not playing in the game prior, killed the hell out of him. Throughout this next round, they'll talk about their experience playing these games, and James will drop the little nugget that he's not familiar with it. Managing to make it all the way from the first round, only one person got a bye, and that was Val, and Val did make it very far. But James took down 3 previous competitors, one of which was Val, one of which was Abraham, and obviously one of which was Andrew. Andrew has never made it that far in any of these tournaments, except for the first one, actually, where I believe Andrew came in 2nd place. So while Logan took out Maxwell in the first round, James took out Andrew. The feuding brothers, maybe? No relation to me, but relation to each other, perhaps. We have our theories. Using those Saracata combos, the red health is so close. Logan could pull this one out, but no, screaming and falling. Arguably, these two have overcame the same odds here. The only difference is, I know that Logan has practiced this game. I've seen him and Chris and Spencer and Ryu all grind out together. The Force 4, if you want to call them that, sure, why not? But James is an outsider, along with Val, although Val was chosen by Spencer to be Spencer's champion. James is the only one to make it to the finals. But now we've evened out. Now we are in the finals of the finals. Earlier in that one draw, I said that is the most even things could get. That is no longer true, because we are going to game 5. The first to win 3, even health bars. Sarakato trying to go for those Sarakato combos. Those are the main differences between these characters. Like we said, everything previously. Sarakato is very quick and can do jabs very quickly. Those are her combos, whereas Anakin's combos are more aerials, going after the ground and keeping them in the air. This is a good stage to keep them in the air, as we saw Logan's aerial combo in the corner over there. It's easier to bounce them off the wall, so Sarakato James is doing the smart strategy of keeping them in the middle while also trying to close this gap. Both the same amount of health, both losing their force meter, trying to close that gap, but again, the sprint also takes up your meter. James on the back burner with less meter, but more health. Now it's evening out again. Being pushed down with the force. Oh, that lightning is what took Sarakato out in the 2 previous rounds, but could it be? Is this the end? Could James? With a stab to the heart, the dream is over.
Which, if I got everyone right, makes James our winner, correct? All right, that puts James firmly in first place, Logan in second, and Ryu in third. And we have a selection, I'm going to try and wrap this up, of fantabulous prizes. I'm going to list them off to you, and you get first pick. We have a pack of silly sticky hands. I know it looks like drugs, I promise it's not. They're just sticky hands. A signed copy of Shaq Fu for the Sega Genesis. Not signed by Shaquille O'Neal, but signed by me instead. Second best thing. And of course, we have the Phantom Menace Episode 1 Gazgano Comtech figure. Not only is it a figure of everyone's favorite pod racer Gazgano, but also has a chip in it that talks to you if you want it to talk back. So you have a selection of these 3 prizes as first place winner. Shaq Fu? Yeah. All right. I'm glad you're such a fan. Second place, Logan. The sticky hands. All right. Second place, Logan gets the pack of silly sticky hands, which leaves third place Ryu. You can come up here and gesticulate towards the camera. The Gazgano Comtech figure. Yeah. I'm gonna wrap this up as soon as I can because we ran a little overtime. But do not fret. Do not forget. I promise you, probably, I will be back next year to host this same tournament. If you didn't get a chance to compete and you loved watching, I guarantee, I think you should practice. I think you can do it. I think anyone can win Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith, the video game for the original Xbox tournament 2025.